Hi, everybody, and welcome to Chatting with Campbell. We're back, and I've got to say, it's good to see the main man back in the house, Mr. Lee
Thanks for having
Judges. How are you, Lee? No, you're Chappy, Lee. Don't you start.
Leo Leicester fans are getting above their station again. You can see that. You know what I mean?
Won a couple of games, have they, Lee? Won a couple of games.
They're all like, they're all digging it up again, like, you know. So I missed last week. Then where was I? Like, I was at
the funeral and that, wasn't it? Yeah, you at the funeral
last week. So I'd had a few beers. I'd had 3 beers. I was all over the place.
A few halves. Love it.
And that was it, like, you know. So
and how are you doing? We love it. And how are you doing, Dan? You okay, pal?
I'm all good, Casey. I'm all good, man. And like you, good to see Judges on his actual show for once. It's nice. Do you know what I mean? So
I heard man would have been late on his own funeral. Is that right?
So how are you, Chappy? Hold on. How are you, Chappy? Are you well?
You know what? I am a bit better now. I had COVID in July, and I was bad with long COVID till all the way to beginning of October, and it was an absolute nightmare. But I'm good. Leicester are keeping me going because we're doing well at the moment. We're doing all right.
Yeah, you've had a good couple of weeks, haven't you? So fair play. Well, listen, before we get going, guys, I just want to mention. Obviously, there was a bereavement this week, a death of my ex-manager, Walter Smith, at Everton, who really was a football legend. His man management skills and him as a person was just like really outstanding, if I could say that. I've met a lot of people in football, but not a lot of people have really left a lasting impression on me. And he was one of those. I put him up there with the impression that he left on me with George Graham, Pat Rice, Geordie Armstrong, the legends that I met at Arsenal, etc. I'd just like to, Lee, what your thoughts are. I'll ask you all what your thoughts are about the sudden death of Walter Smith.
Yeah, like really, really shocked by it and saddened because we spoke many a times about and what you spoke about him and said how good he was, Walter, and I know you speak very, very highly of him all the time, and of course, if it wasn't for him, you would never have been the Everton legend that you was. You know what I mean? And you've always said that. And listen, I think I obviously I never got to know him. You did, but he just seems like that proper football person. Do you know what I mean? Like that would have had time for everybody and a proper football man. And for me, I love all those sort of guys that are proper football men, and everybody speaking highly of him. And you have to say the success that he had and was unbelievable. And with Rangers and that, and he managed some top players at Everton as well, didn't he? So he'd have had to have a bit about him to manage you characters that were about. It's a sad day for football and everybody at Everton, and just condolences to his family and friends and everything connected with Walter.
Yeah, a death in football sometimes it just slips by, but sometimes it really hits you hard. We're actually on our 3rd anniversary of Vishai's passing yesterday, the helicopter tragedy, and that still hurts. And I never even known the man, but what he's done for the club, it impacts you. So Kev, my heart goes out to you.
And to all the Leicester fans as well. Yeah. Without that man and his insight, and obviously his money, but his insight.
Yeah.
Leicester wouldn't be the same, would they?
His dream is still coming true to this day. Training facilities come in massive. Extension to the ground has now got the go ahead, so that's definitely in plans of going forwards. The club's way beyond where he bought it for £39 million. The club, it's got to be half a bill by now. At this point, the club's ridiculous what it's worth now compared to what he bought it at. So,
amazing. That's
amazing.
Well said, Chappie. What about you, Dan? Walter Smith, and obviously the situation, the death.
Sometimes you have to step away from football, Casey, and realise what it is that you're dealing with, and I think that is the best way to sometimes do that, because we get so emotive, don't we? We're so passionate about wins and so angry with losses, but actually when something like this happens, it takes everything into account. And I always hear what a great guy, but sometimes I think people just say that when things like this happen. After speaking to you, knowing that's an understatement of how much of a gentleman this guy was, I think that really hits home. So for me, a sad day for football, and I echo completely what both Chappie and Lee have said.
Yeah, it was, he worked under extreme circumstances. He was promised the earth and got nothing, let me tell you. He really was. He was promised the earth. He's going to get this amount of money and that. So he thought, right, I could work. But he never got what he got. And he really had to scrape and scrap. But you know what? His standards and his training and the football club, the camaraderie was always good. So, fair play to Water. Anyway, look. Let's get into this because we've got a big game coming up. We want to keep Chappie. Look, he's rubbing his hands. Look, he can't wait to get us down there.
It's one of my favourite fixtures, this. Arsenal-Leicester is one of my favourite fixtures. It really is. It's been brilliant for the last few seasons. It's been just fantastic game to watch, regardless of the results.
So, look, what I'm going to say first, my first question, I'm going to ask Lee the first question, Chappie. I'm going to say, Lee, obviously, it's an Arsenal podcast, so let's look at Arsenal right now. We have seen the two kind of faces of Arsenal. One against Crystal Palace and one against Aston Villa.
Yeah, you were brilliant against Aston Villa.
What's your thoughts, guys? Because I think Lee, judges, I'll just call you Chappie to have a difference. Lee Judge, what's your thoughts on this Arsenal inconsistency?
Well, I think that's it. It is inconsistent, and I look at that game on Monday. You couldn't get like chalk and cheese from Monday to Friday. We were like very, very negative. We defended very, very deep. Then we went 1-0 up. We got even deeper. But on Friday, what I liked about it, Kev, I'll be honest, is that we learnt from our mistakes. There was mistakes made, and it's obviously they looked at that and changed it, because when we went 1-0 up against Villa, we went for it again. And when we went 2-0, we were still going for it. A little bit more cautious in the second half because you've got a 2-0 lead. But ultimately, we looked a lot better and we looked a lot sharper. And I have to say that, and you tell me to do this, and I've learned, go game by game. You make a comment game by game and see how it is, and that's what I'm doing. But I am a little bit confused when supporters turn around and say, "Oh, this is great team spirit. We're great. Show like a lot of character, a lot of desire, and all that." It's pretty easy to do. Not say easy, but like when you're at home against Watford and teams like that. Watford, teams like Palace, teams like Villa. You're going to have that. But when I look at it, when you've got character, desire, passion. Let's see what you're like when you're up against top teams like Leicester away, Liverpool away. And if we can come through them, I'm not saying win those games, but come through and we've got that pressure, all that intact and what we've said, then I'm going to say, do you know what? I'm seeing a changing face of Arsenal. At the moment, I'm still, the jury's out, pardon the pun. But I think that what we've got to do is just carry on just going it from game. This is a massive test for us now, because I tell you what, Leicester are in decent form, but I will say this: when they beat Man United, and there was a chance in that game when Man United, I thought when watching it, Man United were going to go on and win that game. They capitulated. Fair play to Leicester for doing it. If we get into that position on Saturday, we've got to show that resilience, show that desire, not to capitulate like Man United did.
Yeah. Dan, what's your thoughts on the bipolar? We're bipolar at times, aren't we?
It's a great way to describe it, Casey. And I think Mikel Arteta must listen to me and you, because I said about Laka and Ober up front, and all of a sudden we see them both there. Now I'm joking, but I honestly believe that we needed to see something different, and we saw it. We saw Lacazette, we saw Aubameyang, we saw the link-up play, we saw Smith Rowe being allowed to come into the game, and that's what I want to see against Leicester. I think it's going to be a very difficult game, if I'm honest, because Leicester, although they haven't had the best of starts, I'm sure Chappie will agree, have just come into form now. That was an unbelievable result against Brentford, in my opinion. It's a very, very difficult place to go. Obviously, we saw what happened at Manchester United, and now I see a situation where we're going to them at the wrong time to be playing Leicester, as far as I'm concerned. So it's going to be difficult. What do I make of it? the thing is, Casey, I have no idea what Arsenal's going to turn up. Is it going to be the Arsenal of Palace or Brighton, or is it going to be the Arsenal of Leicester? We, of course, wanted to see the Arsenal against Villa playing Leicester, but this is going to be a crucial time for Arsenal Football Club right now. We've got 6 games coming up, 4 away from home. They're all very, very tough, and it starts with a real tough fixture that's 12:30 games, which you all know we all hate, going into this one. And they're a team I respect and a team I enjoy watching, Leicester. I've got to say that. You know, Brendan Rodgers is a fantastic manager. They've got some great players, some dangerous players, Casey. So this is going to be what Arsenal are going to turn up. And I'll tell you this, though, Kev, to finish on this. If Arsenal turn up the way they did against Villa, I think this could be an absolute cracker on the weekend. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. Chappie, what's your thoughts on Leicester so far this season, mate? Because obviously there's a lot of Arsenal fans who are watching who would love to hear your view on where Leicester are right now.
Yeah, I'm going to take your word bipolar. We've been up and down, to be honest with you. We win the FA Cup, we win the FA Community Shield, right? And I'm thinking, we're going to have a banging season. I can't believe it.
We all know about that one, guys, don't we? Winning the FA Cup and winning Community Shield.
Yeah. But
oh my God.
I think injuries has played a big part in Leicester's last 2 years of missing out Champions League football. I hate the term bottling. At the end of the day, you replace Ricardo Pereira, who was world class before he took his ACL, with Ryan Bennett. You're not getting Champions League football in that in that swap of a player. But going on to right now, I don't think we've had a very good game this season, to be honest with you. The best we've played will probably be against Man United. Overall 90 minutes, I think we definitely deserved that game against United. But there was times where you thought, they're going to come back here. But Leicester pressed hard. And if they press hard, they play well. If they don't press hard, not so much. At the minute, I think our weakness is at the back. Missing out for Fofana with the injury that he sustained at the pre-season. Leg break took him out for no reason whatsoever. The game was dead and buried. It was a friendly, lads. I'm sure you've seen the leg break, right?
Terrible. It was terrible.
And that for me affected the back line already. With Johnny Evans carrying some sort of foot injury that he's had on and off for going on like 8 months now. The defence is just all over the place. Vestergaard, I don't know what that signing was about. I really don't understand why we brought Vestergaard in from Southampton. It makes no sense to me. I would have gone for someone else, maybe Tarkowski from Burnley. I think we put a bid in for him, but it's obviously got turned down. Soyuncu's lost his head. Only when Evans is back, Soyuncu turns up. I feel like no matter who's at the back line, they need Evans for control and experience. Without Evans fit, our back line is screwed. I am a bit worried about that back line, but
Chappie, I think we'll keep it there. We'll leave it there. I like that. I like that at the back.
But going forward,
no, we'll leave it there, Chappie. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there.
Going forward, I think Yuri Tielemans has turned into one of the best centre-mids in the league. And you've got Ndidi, who's out for this game, unfortunately. So he's going to have to be replaced with Soumare. Now, he's almost filled Ndidi's role. Like, Ndidi who? It doesn't do the same thing as Ndidi, but he's definitely more... I think he's a bit stronger than Ndidi. Ndidi's a bit gangly, if you understand what I mean. Quite tall and lanky. And gets thrown about a bit against some of the bigger lads like Burnley. But when you've got... Soumare's come in. He's won the French league with Lille. Come into Leicester, got some good experience there. He's come in, he looks good. I think we can own the middle against you boys, to be honest with you. I think the middle is going to own tomorrow, Saturday at the King Power. I think we'll own the middle. And don't forget, Jamie Vardy, 13 games and 11 goals against you boys.
Yeah, but he didn't score last season, so we'll take that.
Yeah.
Well,
he's on his way
not
out.
at your place. Not at your place.
He's due.
He got the winner at our place. He didn't get the winner at your place. Lee, what's your thoughts on the partnership of Aubameyang and Lacazette? Because we've spoke about this. When the players have that understanding together, surely they have to play together, don't they?
Well, you know, I have to say, you know, with Lacazette not signing his contract, so you know, I'm thinking, all right, okay, like it's not going to happen for him, and maybe it's best to sell him. But you can't help but like him. I know that sounds silly. He's infectious, isn't he? Even on the bench, you know what it's like when you're left out of the team. You got the hump or whatever. And he's probably looking at it and thinking, maybe I should be playing. He's never shown that. He's always pumping up the crowd and everything like that. So I think, finally he's playing. He's going to play him up top. And then I look at him and I'm thinking, after 10 minutes, what's he doing? Where is he playing? Like he's sort of like, no, he's playing this false number 9, but. He played that role really, really well, and he was the pivot for everybody else to go forward. Like he's a nice wall, if you like. You can bounce off him. I think you know what it's like, Kev. He's a midfielder's dream. Someone that you can push it into. And this is the thing where I think Arsenal were all right, is when they push the ball into him. There's a confidence in the midfield player that he's going to hold it up. Yeah. So I feel with Aubameyang, if I was playing in midfield, I think I'm going to put it into him. I'm not confident that he's going to hold it up. So, you hesitate with your run a little bit. I think then when you've got the ball and it's someone that's going to hold, but you ping it into him and your natural thing is to go forward. And I think that's what's happened with Smith Rowe, Saka. And that's why we're a little bit better when he's in the team, because he does control and hold the ball up a lot better than Aubameyang. And that then gives Aubameyang to play off the shoulder of the defence, which is what he's best at. So I think it suits both things. What we've got to do, Kev, in my opinion, is get someone that can do both of those jobs, and then we've got the and I think that's
complete striker for us,
complete striker, and that's what we'd be looking to do in there, and a little bit like Leicester in a way with their two guys up front with Kelechi and Vardy. They've had to alter their game a little bit to get them back in, because at one stage it was only one playing, and then all of a sudden, I think if I'll be honest, Kelechi. He forced Rogers to play because he was playing that well. So what can I do? And that's what I like about the coach. He's thought, well, I'll tell you what, I'll put them both in, but I do this and do that, and it's worked. And I think they're a better team for it. So I think it's very, very good. I think I agree with what Lee's saying about the midfield. That's where the game's going to be won or lost.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think if Partey can neutralise Tielemans, then I think it's game on. Because I've got to say I have been more than impressed with him for about a year and a half now. I do think. Do you know what? If he was playing for City and playing in a number 17 shirt, everybody would be going mad about him.
I agree. It's the shirt that he's wearing that's not getting him the recognition at this point.
He's not getting. Yeah, I agree. I think if he was playing for one of the big boys, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, because I'm not even saying Arsenal. I'm talking about Chelsea, Man City, or something like that. He would be perfect for a team like Man United to go, somebody to go alongside. He's a quality player. But listen, he's a good player for Leicester, and he doesn't get the recognition.
He needs to sign that contract, though, Lee. I tell you that, because it's running out. It's running out.
It all goes on about De Bruyne, which we all know is a fantastic player, and I just think he goes under the radar a little bit because of that. Maybe that suits his play, but also. Maddison, I just noticed, just starting to get a few games under his belt now. He's a quality player as well. They've got a good midfield. And as you say, Lacazette's going to have to come into that little pocket at times and do the defensive duties. Do you know what, though, Kev? He does it. He's not afraid of a bit of hard work, is our Lacazette.
He's happy to do it, isn't he? He's happy to do it. Dan, what's your thoughts on the way, obviously, the 4-4-2, mentioned 4-4-2 with you last week. They play 4-4-2, and it's our best game of the season. We saw so much cohesion in the team. We saw Lokonga really have a good game beside Thomas Partey in the midfield. We saw Tavares, who was unbelievable at left back, wasn't he? Energy, pace. If Saka could have finished that ball across the box, that would have been kind of what a goal that would have been. So what's your thoughts on the way Arsenal set up and the application from the team?
Well, I think both teams have the ability to play 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2, because obviously Leicester have got James Maddison, we've got Smith Rowe or Martin Ødegaard, and it's going to be interesting for me to see how both teams set up. If we're going to try and match each other, or if we are going to go a little bit different in either way with Leicester or with Arsenal. So that's going to be really interesting for me.
That's Leicester's kind of lineup that we played against United. It was a 3-4-1-2.
Three at the back. Yeah.
With your wing backs. Yeah, so you push Ricardo and Castagna up and down those lines all game, and they can do it all game too.
And that's going to be, and they can. That Castagna is a very good player, by the way. So
Belgium,
I think, I think when you look at the midfield battle and there's a super chat I'll bring up after I've done because it's links to it, Kev. But I really believe this midfield battle. I'm totally with Judges and Chappie. I think that this is going to be where the game's won or lost. And the new formation, like Lee says, with Lacazette and Aubameyang, you've got that link-up play option, and I think that's something we've been missing because Aubameyang and Lacazette morphed into one striker would be an absolute worldie of a forward. But together, they can give us what we need. And I think that Lacazette was vital on Friday night against Aston Villa, and I'm hoping for another performance like that. Where the midfield, I think, was key against Aston Villa, and I was really impressed, was Lokonga. Because for me, you know, I said about Thomas Partey being this experienced head, and we know how good he is. When he has a bad game, I expect him to bounce back. Lokonga, his head could have gone down. He could have got real sort of lacking confidence. We've seen it with other players before. At 21, 22 years old, he's really stepped it up, bounced back his level, and I thought he was exceptional the other night against Aston Villa. He was one of those standout performers as well as Nuno Tavares. So for me, it's that midfield battle. And I think, you know, before Chappie comes in, I'll just bring in what Chaitanya is saying in relation to this super chat, because I think it's important. He says it's going to be a test for our midfield. We need another solid performance versus a quality side. He saw United's midfield get ripped apart by a quality side in Liverpool. Let's hope that Arsenal's midfield don't get ripped apart by a good side in Leicester, because they've got the ability to do that. And I think with Leicester, Tielemans, Samare, who by the way is an absolute steal. I wanted that guy. He's so
unbelievable.
Good. You know, Ndidi and obviously James Maddison. They've got some serious players there, Kev, that can really, really hurt us. So we need to come out strong.
Yeah, look, I'll go to Chappie on this one. Me personally, I think Ndidi is the platform. Yeah. He really sets the platform. He's been there. He knows Tielemans. He knows Maddison, and they trust him. Samare's coming in. I think he's a good player. I think he's very good, but he's not quite there yet, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on that, Chappie?
Yeah, he's not the same player. He's not a like for like, not a like for like player. To be honest with you, if you were going to have a rotation play for Ndidi, it would be Hamza Chowdhury, who probably does what Ndidi does, but more of a reckless Ndidi. To be honest with you, Hamza can get booked quite easily. Yeah, but I like him actually. He's an old school tackler of the game. He'll go right through the player and take the ball Sunday League style. But you know, a lot of Liverpool fans weren't keen when he took out Salah. Put it that way. But going back to that, I mean, Soumare. I think he's just a little bit different to Ndidi going forwards. I think Ndidi's more of your CDM. I think Soumare's in between of a cam and a CDM.
He's a ball player, and he's a ball player. Yeah,
he's a ball player going forwards. Yeah, he's more of a charging forward sort of commanding. Yeah, he's more like a Tielemans really. I think Soumare.
Yeah, and you know, in that Leicester side, obviously you've seen him more than I have or we have. Does he get forward at times as well?
Yeah, Soumare can help out, link out on the left. Sometimes he's there on the right. He's all over the place, actually.
He's a beast, mate. Samare's a beast.
He's an absolute beast. He's everywhere. So, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Be aware.
No, listen, I, as I say, I like him as a player, for sure. I just think having that safe platform player, solid in the midfield, it kind of allows Tielemans and Maddison to really get on with their job of opening doors. And what's your Chappie? What's your thoughts on the front two? Because obviously, if Vardy doesn't play, Daka and Iheanacho have done pretty well, haven't they?
So Leicester was linked to Edouard for quite some time because of the Rodgers and Celtic, relationship with Edouard. Yeah. And obviously he went Palace, and I was like, why? Why did we not go for him? But then when you think about it, Vardy's nearly 35. Yeah. Leicester have been playing off the run, off the shoulder, through balls, all that kind of style of play for years around Jamie Vardy. Instead of changing the whole system up and getting someone new in, they've got someone new in that plays like Vardy, because Daka is like a Jamie Vardy. End of discussion. Unbelievable talent. I can't believe we picked him up. Liverpool were interested in him at one point. Daka, he's come to us, and my word, 4 goals.
4 goals the other night. Yeah,
fastest hat trick in Europa League, by the way. 9 minutes. I think he got a hat trick in inside 9 minutes. Yeah. He's had. I think he's had 5 goals in like 90 minutes of football before last night's game in the cup. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's done really well. I'm going to take it to you, Lee, next, because listen, we're waxing lyrical. Chappie's waxing lyrical about
Yeah,
Leicester.
I thought
Right?
that was going to win a Champions League for a second there.
Exactly, right? He's waxing lyrical, which, listen, it's his team and they are a good side. We know that.
Oh, I love Leicester, man. I bleed blue. Cut me, I bleed blue.
Well, we love that, Chappie. But we're going to go back to someone who's at Arsenal who probably had one of his best games I've seen. ESR, Emile Smith-Rowe. What's your thoughts on him this season so far, Lee?
You just can't help but like him. And we've spoken about this before, Kev. You know what I mean? Like, you give these players they're a little bit more of a lead. You know, he's had probably a couple of bad games along the way. Like, Ulagar's had a couple of bad games. And, you know, Ulagar's not very good, but Smith-Rowe's great. You know what I mean? And it is that thing because he's come through the system. Like, and as an Arsenal fan, you take to that. I can't help it. I take to those players coming through the ranks. You've got that little special bond with him.
He's a baller. He's a baller. I've seen him on my timeline nearly every day. Some sort of clips of him taking.
Yeah, he is. He's got everything. And do you know what? We're talking about this. I don't know. I was talking about it with Robbie today. The first time I see him was when we played Boreham Wood in a pre-season friendly a couple of years ago. Aubameyang was playing. We had a few of the big guns playing, which don't normally happen because I think it was a World Cup year. I can't remember. But a few of the big guns are playing, and it's just, I think he was 18, 17, and Aubameyang got the ball, give me it here, and you could see it because you was close onto the pit. I thought, I like that. I do like that.
He wants it.
He wanted the ball and everything like that, and I thought, you know, that's the makings of a good play. I think the Huddersfield move was a good move for him. I know he went to Germany before that, but the Huddersfield move toughened him up, which I think we've got to do with a couple of other of our players, and now he's come back. But what I love about him is that he is a good player, you know, gets on the ball, makes things happen, and is his work rate and energy. And I've said it and I'll say it again, and people might laugh at me. He is a better player at his age now than what Grealish was at that age. But look how Grealish has gone on. Now, if Emile can progress in the way that Grealish
and develop properly.
Mm-hmm. Arsenal have got one hell of a player on their hands there, like, you know what I mean? And I think he's gone under the radar a little bit because of Saka. You know, but we've got two gems here, and I love them both. And but Smith-Rowe at this moment in time, you know, the work rate. It wasn't just that, Kev. He done it again on Tuesday night. You know, in the League Cup. His work rate was unbelievable. You know, he probably know he was going to come off after 60 minutes or whatever, but he works hard. And I absolutely listen, as a fan, everybody's entitled to a bad game and you have bad games. But the one thing you ask for is work rate and effort. Graft. Yeah. It's a give me. He does that. You know what I mean? And that's his first and foremost thing. You think, well, what if he's had a bad game? And that's why I'll forgive him when he does have a slight bad game, because his work rate is unreal. Yeah,
brilliant. Dan, Potsy, what's your thoughts on Smith-Rowe, obviously this season and against Villa? Because, you know, I thought he was incredible against Villa.
Yeah, so did I. I thought he was exceptional. And to be fair, there was a few that were, but he really stood out for me. And one thing, a term I keep using, Casey, is high ceiling with a few of these players, because they all have a massive ceiling. If you compare Gabriel at 23 to, say, like, I don't know, let's pick a brilliant centre-half, Van Dijk at 23, and you see where he was at 23 and where Gabriel is at 23 now, how good could Gabriel be? You know, we haven't seen the best of Ben White yet, but of course, you know, that partnership seems to keep growing and he's looking better every game. Kieran Tierney, massive ceiling. At the moment, can't get in the team because he's injured. Nuno Tavares comes straight in, massive ceiling. What a player he looks. And we've got that with a few of these lads. Now, the reason we're so excited about Smith-Rowe and Saka is, of course, because they're two of our boys and they're English and we want to see them do well. But actually, they deserve all the plaudits they're getting, because although Saka has had a pretty poor season, I would say, this season, I think Sophie, who is in the chat, big up Sophie from Highbury Squad, by the way, she even gave a prediction for us three. And you two said you thought Saka would have a better season. I actually fancied Smith-Rowe to have a better season, just because Saka's having more of a typical kind of performance. Do you know what I mean? I'd just like to get that one in there quickly.
Yeah, get that in. You can a pat on the back while you're at it.
While you're at it,
I will do. And you know what? I stand by it, because I really feel like this kid can do everything on the ball. And Jamie Carragher said, didn't he, that he's one of the best players running with the ball. Now, I thought that was a little bit maybe over the top when you compare it to somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo or Mo Salah. But I got what he meant, because at the moment he excites me when he's running with that football. There's a lot of work off the ball that he does, which I think goes under the radar. But actually, when you look at him driving forward, he always looks threatening and he's looking like something's going to happen. I'm a massive fan of the kid, and I just want to see him continue this run of form, because he's a joy to watch at the moment. He really is.
For me, guys, it's end product. There's got to be end product to his play. We know he's got unbelievable ability, but there has to be end product. If there's goals, if there's assists, he's got to add that more to his game, and he's doing that right now. Chappie, what's your thoughts on Emile Smith-Rowe when you look at this Arsenal side?
You were just saying about assists and goals. I mean, what is he? He's only had about eight games in the Prem this season. Is it 9? We're on the 9 game, aren't we? I've lost count where we are. I mean, what is he? 2 goals, 2 assists?
Two goals, 2 assists or 3 assists, something like that.
That's great for a young lad as well. I mean, that's unreal. I wish
20-year-old.
I wish
3 goals and 3 assists on Saturday.
Yeah. No, but like our number 10, he's not done anything really since February. Fair enough, he's been carrying an injury, but I mean,
could have been our number 10 from what I hear, Chappie.
Yeah. What happened to that though? Because that was all the way through the summer. The transfer news with Maddison, I had to read it every day as a Fox fan. It was starting to get on my nerves. And then all of a sudden, I see that's felt, and you've got Odegaard. What?
Yeah, strange one that.
Yeah, well, I think what the money that you guys were asking was probably a bit too much for us. I tell you why, because we used the money and we got in Ramsdale and we got in Tomiyasu as well.
Yeah.
So when
and the
you
Ramsdale
think
one
about,
we questioned. Yeah, we all questioned the Ramsdale one.
Listen, Chappie,
he's been
questioned.
banging.
A lot of the Arsenal fans didn't want him.
He's banging, absolutely brilliant.
And he's a really good keeper. So
Leno who?
Yeah, ESR is a quality player. Chappie, I want to ask you this about this Leicester side. I know you're a bit worried about things at the back, obviously, because shipping goals, but you're winning games now.
Yes.
What would be your starting lineup for the game on Saturday?
So I've already made one for you. See, I come prepared.
You've got a graphic. Love that. Love it.
Look at that.
There you go. So I can prepare, boys. This is how you do this. I think we're going to go with Schmeichel in goal. Obviously, Danny Ward had a cracking game last night in the cup, but Schmeichel, Kasper is our number 1. End of discussion. Do you rate Kasper, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Very good. Nice lad. Good keeper. Yep.
Very much so.
Back 3, I go with Sunchu. Evans, if he's okay, because that foot's still giving him some jip. Unfortunately, we've got no Fofana, so Daniel Amate, who's still got Ronaldo in his back pocket somewhere. You've got Castagna left and Ricardo right acting as wing-backs with that middle of... Well, it won't be Ndidi, unfortunately. It's going to be your man Soumare, who will probably end up having to come on, so we'll just...
Oh, look at that. Put him in. Come on, stick it. I'll tell you what.
Davies watching this. I'll tell you.
I'll tell you what. Love that, Chappie.
Mate,
I need his dinner, Kev.
This is my watch. This is my watch along graphics, mate. This is how I do. I do a whole show like this.
Nice one. Nice one.
Man.
And obviously Maddison at 10.
Yeah,
in the 10.
Maddison as you can, and I think he'll go with the front 2 of Vardy and Nacho. I really do.
So is Vardy all right? Or is he carrying or not?
Yeah, he's been. So I think he felt something in the warm up for the Brentford game. He got subbed off for Daka, I think, at half time, wasn't it? And he's been training yesterday. Seen him train this morning on Instagram stories and stuff as well. And Rodgers has said he's okay to go. So.
Cool. Yeah,
and he's got to play against Arsenal. He loves it against Arsenal. We've already said this earlier. He's got 11 goals against you boys in 13 games.
Yeah.
He's getting on there, though.
We don't like him.
Yeah, well, so am I, mate. So am I. Same age.
Lee, when you look at that side that Chappie's obviously just put up, what's your thoughts on it? And does it? Is there any trepidation in that side, because it's a decent side, isn't it? Especially going forward.
Listen, decent side. It's a very, very good side, and they've got a good coach as well. Back 3 is interesting. I think that there will be spaces in between the right side defender and the wing back. Maybe that's where we can exploit with the players that we've got. But ultimately, listen, they do attack and all that, and they're a good side. Listen, but I will go back to games. Crystal Palace, they were cruising that game, a little bit of a tinkering from our man Vieira, and they got at Leicester. I think that's what you got to do. I think if you go and say, right, let's sit back and no way, we're going to.
You can't be passive, can you? You can't be passive.
Yeah. No, you can't be passive. You've got to
be aggressive.
Fire with fire here. Go for them, and that midfield battle is going to be key. Now, as I say, and I tell you who's going to be key to that is Lacazette, because they've got the if they go with the three at the back, that means they're going to have the extra man in midfield. And what Lee was saying, that's where he feels the game's going to be won.
Yeah, I think it will be. It'll be Partey versus Tielemans. Whoever wins that wins the game.
Yeah, So I think
I don't even think that. I think because Tielemans plays on Lokonga's side.
Yeah,
so Partey's not going to. I'm telling you now, Partey they're going to be pretty rigid in how they play. Partey's not going to switch. They're going to stay They're going to stay where they are.
Well, that's going to hurt you then.
Lokonga's going to have to deal with Tielemans, but Soumare's going to have to deal with Partey. And Lee, you're right. If we can get Lacazette in that pocket, just the other side of their two midfielders, then we could be in business.
Yeah, that's awesome. Listen, Lokonga, let's not underestimate Lokonga. He's a good player. I think that the trouble with Arsenal is we've got good players now, and I think that it's the consistency. What Arsenal's going to turn up now? I don't care if the Arsenal that played against Aston Villa turns up and turn the Arsenal that turned up at Leicester last season. Then we're in for I think a good game, and maybe we could get the result. But you just don't know what's going to turn up, Kev. If it's a team that's going to, if the team turns up against Brighton and Palace, then old chappy will be having a nice Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
so
I'm going out afterwards for a Chinese with the fam. So I'm hoping.
Chappy, before
smiling, eating me pop doms.
Chappy, before you go, then Chappy, what's your thoughts on the result?
Realistically, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think there's going to be 4 goals in this, and I'm going to go 2-2. That's up here. My heart, obviously, I think Vardy's going to get an hat-trick, double hat-trick, and slay the Gunners to the death. But
slay the Gunners again.
Nah, 2-2. I'm going 2-2.
All right. Okay. Listen, I know you've got to go, mate. So,
Charlie, thanks for jumping on, man.
Thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate your insight, mate. And
Chappy, always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys, as well.
I'm sure we'll see each other in the reverse.
Doing amazing work.
Oh, cheers, man. I put a lot of work into this, believe you me.
No, I know you do.
Top man, Chappy.
Yeah, man.
Enjoy your evening, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, man. I'll see you all very soon. Take care of yourselves.
Cheers.
See you the weekend, Chappy. Take care, mate.
Good luck for the game, not.
Oh, what a good guy. What a top guy.
He's a top guy. Really,
he's a lovely lad.
Lovely. Whenever I go to Leicester, unfortunately I can't go this week, but every time I go, he always makes the effort to meet up. To be honest, when they've won, he seems to be more keener than when we've won up there. But,
I'm sure he is. Right, let's get deep into this now then, boys. We know throughout a season you do come up against hurdles and tests. Is this our biggest test? I'll go to you first, Dan. Is this our biggest test so far this season now?
I think this next run of games is not so much this game. I think we're going to see what Arsenal is. I think we're going to see where Arsenal are in the next 6 games. I really believe that. And I think that we're in a situation where Arsenal are going to come up against some very tough away fixtures. And we've seen Arsenal go... We've seen a bit of everything from Arsenal, haven't we? We've seen a team that gets beaten up. We've seen a team that doesn't get beaten up. We've seen a team that can score goals. We've seen a team that can't score goals. And we've seen a team that can keep clean sheets, but sometimes can let them in also. So you really do not know what you're going to get with this Arsenal side. And of course, we all get a little bit emotional and angry when we lose games because we get frustrated. And, you know, I've been guilty of losing my head a few times because I see the same mistakes and I see stuff happening with this manager which frustrates me. But actually, one thing I agree with Lee Judges on massively is that I think this squad is actually good. I do believe it's a good side. And perhaps we don't see our squad being fantastic like we saw on Tuesday. I know we got the job done against Leeds, but some of those players I think are on the kind of fringe of leaving the club or not quite good enough or whatever you want to call it. But actually this first 11, I'm really happy with it, Kev. I think Ramsdale's been a breath of fresh air. I think that Tomiyasu, likewise, the first time we've had a right back who really enjoys defending in Tomiyasu. Over the other side, it doesn't really matter, it seems, this season, whether it's Tavares or Tierney. They seem to be able to do a little bit of both in terms of defending and going forward. I think the partnership's key with Gabriel and Ben White. I think that will grow. I like what I see with Partey and Lokonga because I think you get a little bit of box-to-box and athleticism both with that midfield, something I've really cried out for when we had Ceballos and Xhaka, which I just did not think was strong enough by any means. I think Ødegaard or Smith-Rowe can do a job in the number 10, and we've got great forward players that are starting now, we see against Villa, to link up. So there's everything there. The recipe's there. We just need to ensure that we can go on some consistent form now and a little bit of momentum. And I want to see some wins, not like, you know, getting draw, loss, win, draw, loss, win. I really want to see some Arsenal wins and Arsenal victories. And I think what I loved so much about Aston Villa was how convincing the win was. We dominated midfield, like we did actually against Palace in the first 10 minutes, but we continued it, Kev. We didn't sit back. We didn't let them come on to us. We really went for it and we battled and we absolutely won. Every area of the pitch, we were first to the ball. And I think where Lee said, I think Lee, you might have said it last week, Arteta learning from his mistakes. I think that's what he did against Aston Villa because I think he did make a few tactically wrong in the Palace game, and it was good to see that he changed it up. I've always been a kind of believer in if it's not working, then do something about it. Don't just sit there, be stubborn, like Arsene Wenger used to do, and then continue losing a few more until you then say, actually, I have got to pull the plug and do something different. I like to see it the game after. And that's why I've given Arteta criticism previously, because I'm seeing the same mistakes. I haven't seen that in the last two. So I want to see momentum now, Casey. I want to see a good performance at the weekend. And it will give us the confidence to believe that we can go into the Watford game and then get ready for the international break. Because trust me, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United are going to be round the corner before we know it. And they're going to be really, really tough as well. So I want to see a run in this game now. And, you know, people say take every game as it comes. I think we do always look a little bit ahead of ourselves. I think that's just natural as fans. But this game is really important at the weekend for me. And I really I'm expecting a really good game, if I'm honest with you, because I think it's two teams that are just starting to show us what they can do this season. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. Lee, for this young side, is it the biggest test? And what do you think? Do you think they can get over this obstacle?
Yeah, I think this is their biggest test without a doubt, and I also think that you know, we've got to get a big win from somewhere, because if we say we win Saturday and then we beat Watford, we're going to be in and around the top four. Lose this one, beat Watford, we're still going to be 8th, 9th. You know, and we've got to start making a move up the table. It's no good winning a couple, drawing a couple, then winning a couple, losing a couple. We've got to get a consistent trend. I was talking to someone yesterday, I think it was yesterday, come in the shop and said, you know, this Arsenal team at this moment reminds him of when George Graham took over at Arsenal. I said, well, really? We explain that then. So he said, I'll tell you why. He said, look, very, very young team, very brought in a lot of that. No one really quite liked George Graham at that time, so he had to win people over. Changed the goalkeeper, which people didn't agree with. Or whatever, like, you know, in the end he did, but not at first, but like, you know, changed the forwards. Yes, you know, he kept in the experience of Charlie Nicholas and players like that so that he could get the right players in, like Alan Smith and then yourself and Ian Wright. And I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I see where you're going with this, but George Graham in that first season went on a 20-game unbeaten run, and that helped. And that is what Mikel has got to do now. It's no good, you know, because people will turn around and say this, Kev, you know, yeah, he's won the FA Cup, which he has done. Mm-hmm. But his league form wasn't good enough, you know what I mean? Like, it's inconsistent. His league form has not been great. So he needs to rectify that. Like, you know, George Graham went and won the Cup that year, but on the back of 20-game unbeaten run. you know. And I go back to that time. Well, I never thought we was going to win the league that year. It's a little bit like now, but I see things happening, and I thought, like get behind the young players, David Rowe, Michael Thomas, Saka, Smith Rowe. There's things in there that I thought, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but ultimately, the one thing that's missing from all of that is that there isn't that consistent run. Now, someone turned around and said, and I agree with this. You'll probably agree with this as well, Kev. You know, in the youth, you know, you do get that inconsistency. You do get these games of like Arsenal under George Graham didn't have that. So that shows me there's a little bit of drive from the manager to make sure that didn't happen. So you can get consistency with younger players. Man United won the league with younger players, and so I do buy into it a little way. But at the end of the day, let's not use that as an excuse. You know, these are all good players. They've got some good. You know, this squad is better than 8th and 10th. It is. The players are. Let's start getting on a run now. And if you're going to be on a decent run of 10 going to double figures deep into an unbeaten run, as you well know this, you are going to have to beat some good teams along the way. You ain't going to have 10, 15 games of down the bottom. You're going to come across some teams in the top, and you've got to go and get something from it. And this will be a massive test for Arsenal. You know what I mean? If we get a draw, I'm not going to be too disappointed. But what I want to see is a performance where I think, right, I can hang the out on that. I can hang the out on that.
I agree with that. I agree with that because I think, sorry, Kev, just coming in. I agree with that. Right. I agree massively because I think that, you know, we might walk away from the King Power and go, do you know what, I'll take a point after that because they're a good side. And I think we are at that level now, Arsenal. But there's nothing to suggest that Arsenal can't compete with David Moyes' West Ham, Brendan Rodgers' Leicester, and Ollie if he stays Man United. From what I've seen this season, there's nothing to suggest that if we get it right on the pitch and show some consistent form, we have the players there and we have the talent to compete with those three. Whether that means we're going to get top 4, 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever it be, I think that's where our market is. We're definitely better than Everton because they're a bit inconsistent, Tottenham, Villa, Brighton. I think we're above that level, but they're the teams I think we're playing for at the moment. The things can change, but where we are, we can only talk about what's happening right now. That's where I see Arsenal Football Club, and that's where I think we should be going. So teams against Leicester, we have to come up against. We can't be losing 2-3-0 against these teams. We have to be going for it and try to take the 2-1 or 1-0 win. I really do believe that.
Yeah, here's the crazy thing, guys, and I just want to ask your opinion on this. When we played Spurs were up there. Then we hear Spurs ain't a good side. we play Villa. We beat Villa. Villa are trash. No one could turn around and say that this Leicester side aren't good or are trash. They haven't started how they want to start, but this is a good Premier League side who have been up there in the top 4 or 5 for 2 years now. Let's be honest, guys. So, would it be unkind or unfair if people level that at us if we go up there and get the right result?
Listen, you know, I've always said that, you know, and it's always been a bugbear of mine, you know what I mean? When Arsenal play well, the other team's crap and all that, like, you know. Listen, one day sunshine does not make a summer. Let's get this correct, like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why we're posing questions, you know, to Mikel, like not criticising him. These are things that he's got to do before he convinces me that we're going to go on. But what I'm saying about at the game against Aston Villa, we made Aston Villa look poor. Yeah. You know, I look at before that game, Kev was in the pub and everybody's worried about Ings and
Watkins and
they're going to destroy
that midfield and all that. Yeah,
you know, like McGinn in midfield.
McGinn.
Great player.
Good player. Yeah.
All worried. Like at the end of the game, the number 20 come up, and I thought, I didn't even know Ings was playing. So give credit where credit's due. You know what I mean? That we defended well. Watkins, I loved that bit in the first minute when Gabriel and everybody was around him. That showed me that we're not going to be bullied in a game. And I like that. So there was good signs in that game there. So I give Arsenal the credit for that. Like, but that's credit on what I expect. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think now, if I'll be honest, not many. If you've got, I don't know, like your last save is you're not going to put it on Arsenal to win this game. You know what I mean? This is a game that, we're not favourites to go and win this game. But this is the one where we can set a marker down, just say to everybody, like, yes, we are. We should have done it at Brighton, but we didn't. You know what I mean? And I felt we was a little bit poor. But we've gone on with 2 or 3 weeks more into the season now, 2 or 3 more weeks of training, 2 or 3 more weeks of going for that. I want to see us go to Leicester and make sure, by hook or by crook, Kevin, we do not get beat. And that's what I say. And I'll go back to this now. 2 weeks ago, when Manchester United were playing there, forget about all what's gone on Man United. I was watching that game. I expected Manchester United to win that game. When they went 1-0 up, I went, no, they're going to go and win this game. They then capitulated. Not really Leicester done too much. They went up and scored and then straight away conceded again. Things that we've done in the past, things that we cannot do in the present and in the future. Yeah,
very true. Dan, what's your thoughts on that? And I'll get some predictions as well on, we know it's a big test. Arsenal need to turn up. I think it's a winnable game, by the way. Mm-hmm. At the end of it, if it ends a draw, fair enough, I take a point. But I'm going there thinking we've got to win this.
Yeah, I'm with you.
100%, we've got to win it, and I think we can win it. I do. I believe if that team turns up, and I expect it to be the same team, then we have a great chance of nicking this game. We do, because Leicester are a great side, but they're beatable, and we've seen why. Because we know their weaknesses. They've got a very good side. And I would say they're probably in the top 5 clubs in the world, and I'm not even joking this now, in terms of how well they are run as a football club. They're up there with Dortmund, with Bayern Munich, with Liverpool, and with Ajax for me. They are unbelievable at running a football club in terms of their recruitment and how their owner actually cares. Wouldn't you just love that at Arsenal? What you saw, the FA Cup final, him coming on with tears, with Brendan Rodgers hugging him, lifting it. That's what football's all about in terms of owning. Yeah. Absolutely. So I have a lot of respect for Leicester, but I won't do on Saturday. I think personally we need to go out there like we did, exactly the same as we did on Friday, and get at them. Because, you're right, Kev. At the start of the season, Nuno was a genius. There was a system at Tottenham. They were playing well. They were top of the league. Things changed very, very quickly. And we've seen it probably the opposite happen with us, where we were a little bit underprepared, had some injuries, had some illnesses at the start of the season, lost to Brentford, got hammered and bullied by Chelsea and Man City, and it was all looking wrong for us. And of course, when we get those players back, start to see this rebuild that we're looking at now, let's hope that Mikel Arteta can get things right and move us forward, because that's what we all want at the end of the day, Arsenal winning. And I think we can nick it, Kev. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be close, but I think there's going to be the odd goal. I'm still not convinced with this Leicester back three. I'm telling you now. I think they are there to be got at, and with the players we've got, I think we could get at them, and I think we could nick it. Lee, what's your prediction for the game?
I've actually gone 2-0 to Arsenal. I think that we'll win this game, because you know what? I think we need to win this game. I'm fed up. And I'm pretty sure the players are fed up with being 10th and 11th and all that. If we are to attack the top 4, top 5, we have got to go to Leicester and win. And that's what I'm looking at. And if we don't, then I'm going to be looking and going, well, why are we not going there?
It's another question mark, isn't it? It's another question mark.
Yeah, and we've had enough question marks. And listen, Arsenal have, and if you look at over the bunch of games, if you look on it, like, we've done okay. With the draw against Brighton and Crystal Palace were draws. What I didn't like about those draws was the performance, but ultimately we haven't lost. But the package since we've come back has been good, and I think it's very, very important that Arsenal stay unbeaten going into the next international break. If we can actually win this game and then beat Watford, that sets us up to have a free hit, if you like, at Liverpool. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but if we were to lose to Leicester and then we beat Watford, then we go and lose to Liverpool, we're still down there in that doldrums. This is why this is a big game for Arsenal. I'm hoping that Mikel gets them right up for this game. I think this is make or break. I know you might think I'm silly here, but a make or break season. This game, this will make or break where we're going to go. If it could push us into catapult us quickly in, a bit like snakes and ladders, isn't it? Like, but this is our ladder. You know what I mean? Like, are we going to go up the ladder or are we going to go down the snake? You know what I mean?
Depending what you throw, Lee. It depends what the performance is, isn't it?
I'm hoping Mikel throws a 6. Come on, Mikel. Throw a 6.
So what score? 2-0.
2-0. I think I'm very impressed with our defensive line. We've conceded a couple of little sloppy goals in the I loved that, by the way, last week when we conceded a goal from Ramsdale and he come out and had a go, screaming and shouting. Oh, I loved it. I absolutely we've not had that. You know what I mean? Like so I you know, and I'm not saying he's just doing it for the effect, because when someone does something well, he congratulates them as well. But I go back to that game against Sheffield United when I was there in that midweek game 1-0 when we conceded a goal from a corner and they just edged down and just walked back. There was no one having a go from a set piece. So I'm now I like to see a goalkeeper or players making that someone is accountable for that goal.
Digging someone out if digging someone out. Yeah.
And if you can't take that, then you shouldn't be playing for Arsenal.
Shouldn't be playing. Yep.
And I love it. So I think that's a good thing. And I think that Arsenal need to keep giving clean sheets out. And I tell you what, if we went up there and got a clean sheet, that would be another great little statement. So probably leaving with me heart instead of me head a little bit. But I think we need to get a clean sheet, need to win this game. 2-0 to the Arsenal.
Love it. Dan, what's your thoughts on this game, mate? On hopefully an Arsenal win.
Yeah, I love the optimism of Lee. I really do. I do feel that we're going to go 1-0 down in this game, but because I think that it's going to be such a good end-to-end game, I do fancy Arsenal for the first time in a long time to turn it round and win the game 2-1. I really do, and I don't know why I feel that, because I mean, as people know on here, I'm not the most of optimistic people at times, but when it comes to this Arsenal side, I'm just impressed by what I saw against Villa, and I need to see that now in the next few games. Lee's bang on that one sunny day don't make a summer. Let's hope for a very nice summer in the next few games, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory. I think it's key to what we were saying earlier in terms of the midfield battle, and I'm really looking forward to Lokonga and Partey in there to see how they get up against, let's be honest, their strongest part of their team, Leicester. Yeah. But they've got dangerous men up top. They've got pace in Kelechi, they've got pace in Daka, they've got a great player in Jamie Vardy who always hurts us. And I do believe that they will go 1-0 up, but I think that we've got the character and the mentality of the last few games and a little bit of momentum to turn this fixture around on its head and take the 3 points by winning 2-1. So I'm going 2-1 to the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.
Well, it's pretty similar to what happened last season. You remember they scored first, Tielemans scored, and then we went on to win the game 3-1, and it could have been probably 4 or 5 at times. Well, I thought we played pretty well after going a goal behind. There's one thing I wanted to ask you guys. I think it's going to be. I'm going 2-1, but you know what I would take? I'd take a 1-0 to the Arsenal. I would take a 1-0 to the Arsenal, where Arsenal has to battle and scrap, and we nick a goal late on, and we SAS, get in, get the job done, and get out, right? But there's one thing I want to ask you guys before we wrap up. It's about the mentality and the togetherness of this squad, because I think last season and probably the first 3 games of this season, I thought we didn't really see it. We're all over the place. I think seeing what's happening with this squad now, culminating in that goal for Chambers coming on the pitch the other night, and then running over to the bench, and you've seen the photos, you've seen Lacazette, they're running over to Lacazette, and Ramsdale's there. What's your thoughts on that togetherness, camaraderie part, which we've lacked in the past?
Do you know, I had a little sit down and had a little think about it on after Tuesday. You know, Kolasinac coming into the team and having a game on that day there, and maybe Eddie as well. That no one's being left out. Do you know what I mean? And completely put isolated from it. Whether they're not aware. So I think that was a good move. So that gets them involved in that game. I don't, when people will turn around and say, why are they involved and all that? And I had a little think about it, and I thought, well, maybe because that is good for team spirit, you know what I mean? Because he could have played Tavares there, or you know what I mean, but he didn't. He chose to be. So it means that everybody's involved. So you don't see what goes on behind the scenes in training and all that. What I do like, and I've always said this, and I've always watched it, because I've played the game, Kev, you've played the game as well. When Arsenal score, I always look at the substitutes. always look at what's going on the bench, if they're jumping up and whatever, because I think it's a very, very
It's a good tell, isn't it? It's a good tell.
It's a telltale, you know what I mean? Like, you see someone sitting here like that, been there with all that.
Yeah.
I see a togetherness, you know, when Chambers comes on and score, everybody bundling over there, like Ramsdale. I know that Ramsdale knows he's going to play next game, but there's a real togetherness with
Lee,
that.
He didn't have to do it, did he? He didn't have to do that.
He didn't have to do that. No, he didn't. He didn't have to. Exactly right. He didn't, but he did. And I like that. Lacazette must be thinking to himself, I should be in the team and all that. But look at him on the, like, you know, getting the fans up for it and things like that. There is something going on there with those players. And so it is, so there is something good going. So, and I like to see that. So there is a togetherness there.
There does seem to be a team spirit. I must admit that there does seem to be a team spirit. Whether you like what the owners, the board, the manager, the coaching staff are doing, or whether you think the players are good enough or not, the players are definitely buying into what's happening at the moment, whether that's the right way or the wrong way. There's a team spirit, there's a togetherness there. I see where Lee's coming from. I thought it was a bit of a shocker to bring some of those players in when they're leaving in the summer. I'd like to have seen Balogun ahead of Eddie, just for the pure fact that obviously he's going to be the future and Eddie looks like he's not. But saying that, brilliant touch, brilliant second touch, and then an unbelievable finish, but he did score and he worked hard. Unbelievable. But I will say that, Casey, you know, you've been a big backer of the manager, and there is something going on in terms of team spirit which I don't think we had previously. And whether that's because he's removed the culture, brought the right players in, whatever it be, there is definitely a togetherness there, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I just look at the manager, and I just think there was a lot of moving parts at the club when he first came in. It took him a while to get rid of those, you know, some people call it cancer, out of the dressing room or whatever. Sometimes it's difficult to do. But we all said, didn't we, you know, after the first international break, when he brought in Tomiyasu, when he brought in all these players, now it's his team. He's going to be judged. We said the next 3 games, which was, what was it, Norwich, Burnley and Spurs, that was going to be the big test. He came through that. Now we're at a part where we've got other big tests in there, and we've got to come through that. It is the youngest team in the Premier League. There is hurdles to get over, but we've got to get over it, and you only get over those hurdles with having a team spirit, because there's going to be injuries. Some of those players who we don't fancy probably is going to be on their way out. We might need to use. Let's be honest, guys. We might need to use these guys. So, you know, fingers crossed. Everything goes well on Saturday. Is there any more super chats or anything?
One final super chat, who is from Ollie. Ollie, thank you so much, mate. He says he hopes to see more of Lacazette's link-up play with Smith Rowe and Saka against Leicester, because it is so great to see. I think we mentioned earlier on how important that is to look going forward. I think Lacazette brings the 2 youngsters in there, particularly Saka and Smith Rowe, very well. So we hope to see that indeed at the weekend.
I think they trust. Do you know what? I think they trust Laka. Because as Lee made a really good point, as a midfielder or a forward, when you knock that ball into your number 9 or your main striker, if it doesn't stick, you think twice about going. You really do. You think twice about going. But seems to me they're happy to give it to Laka, because they know he will hold it and he will protect it and he will link the play nice. So, you know, really good question, Ollie. That was a good statement there.
Yeah.
But guys, I think we're at the end now.
Yeah, I have to check on, like, you know.
Yeah.
I look at the clock and I just can't believe it. Over an hour's gone. You know,
That's
it's great conversation with you, Lee, and you, Patsy. Chappie was excellent as well, I've got to say. And it's nice to know when the opposition fan don't see his home team winning. I like that.
You know what I mean? That shows you Arsenal are starting to do something a little bit.
Yeah, a bit of fear factor maybe coming in. Oh, I'm not sure.
Always back your team at home.
That's right. You do.
You know, and unless you've got something to worry about, like, you know. So that was it. Just want to say, like, thanks for everybody in the chat. I know that you know, I do watch. I do look at what's going on in the chat and everything like that. Great interaction between you guys and all that. So thanks for doing that. And,
keep it going.
Yeah,
keep it going.
I love seeing all the chat, and it's good to see. So thanks for interacting, and thanks for coming and watching us. And
the Lee Judges community is being built. That's great.
You know what I mean?
Listen, guys, Lee, thanks again. Dan, thanks for having me on as the host. And all you in the chat, everybody watching, thanks again for tuning in. And up the Arsenal, we know we want this game on the early one on Saturday. 3 points. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Good night, everyone.